Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Tuesday, October 1st, 2024, and today's topic is sketching the skull. And throughout October, I'll be doing the skeleton and how it relates to drawing the figure and other things, but that'll be the kind of the main thing. So part of that is because it is helpful to know the skeletal structure, and also I don't know it like that well, so it would be good practice for me too. So yeah, let's begin. I'll start a 5-minute timer as usual. So if you just want to sketch for 5 minutes, you can. So to begin with, let's start with some basic proportions. Let me start by kind of going over like the different ways to draw the head, basically. So there's the popular Loomis method, where you draw a circle like this, and then like the midpoint here is the brow line, and then this is like the nose, and I guess kind of like the hairline right there. And then the mouth is somewhere around here. And of course I have videos talking about this in the figure drawing playlist. And this is a popular method because of the internet. So let's talk about, well, let me go over some other ways. So some other ways is that sometimes it's like if you don't need to draw like the whole head here, like this is a good way if you need to draw like this whole thing. And then you can make adjustments and stuff. Another way would be like if you want to kind of change the proportion and the look without drawing it this way, because it will result in similar looking heads depending on how you construct the proportion and stuff. So another way would be, well, kind of like this, but you could use, I guess you could call this like Bridgman method, where you use a cube, and you could keep the same proportions, and then just kind of chisel away at it, which can be good for certain types of heads depending on what you're wanting to draw. I mean, yeah. So that could work. This is kind of good if you need to have some perspective in it. It might be a little bit easier to visualize, maybe. And then this would be the cranium, which we'll go over because we're doing the skull. Kind of like that, so you just carve it out of a cube. And then the other way would be, like, if you didn't use this as the brow, you could start with like a more square shape and then have that be the eye. And then just put the brow like somewhere. Again, I think this is a bit more of the simplified version, and then you could adjust the nose. That's 5 minutes. So in this method, you just kind of add, I guess the focus is more on the eyes, and then you just add like whatever kind of chin, like right here. It could be more simple looking. Shorten the nose. Then this could become like the lips. And then add a little bit to the top of the head. Just some different methods. So what I'm going to do is sketch the skull, but then relate it to like how to draw the head, because I mean a lot of times you're not gonna be drawing like the skull in detail, so we'll figure out the landmarks. So yeah, first let's figure out like what the proportions are doing like on the skull itself. So for example, if we were to draw another square, let's go with this. This is why the Loomis method works well, is because it's based upon the skull structure. So like, let's say that this midpoint is actually the brow. And then if this is thirds right here, like this is equal to that, and then we'll do another one that's equal. So you have thirds. So it might be helpful to figure out the landmarks. So the brow is a landmark, meaning that on every face it's going to show up. Then this right here, this bony part of the nose is going to be a landmark. And of course, on a skull, like this is just open. That's the nasal cavity. And I'm not going to go into like all the anatomical names unless I need to, because I find that sometimes that's actually, it doesn't really help you draw better. So again, these lines are using the proportions are using like the same proportions, but this is the skull like underneath. So then, yeah, the brow is important. So if you were to remove all the surface anatomy, you're gonna get these forms. And these are landmarks because they just tend to show and like pick up highlight and shadow and everything. Same with like the forehead. You're gonna see more of like the form of the forehead. Add a little bit to the, like I'll just call this like the cranium. So this is where the eyes would go, except in the skull we're looking at the, that's 5 minutes. I'll start another 5-minute timer. We're looking at like the eye socket, and the eye sockets are actually formed by the bones around it. So that's what's causing it to be like the eye sockets. So for example, you have the brow, kind of like that, and then you have the this part here, the cheekbones. So that's good to know. So keep in mind that part of what goes on with like the skull is that its function is to protect like the eyes, for example, and so that's why these bones exist. Like it's not just for looks. So yeah, you have like what you would call, or we would call, the cheekbones. And then you have like this part that tends to pick up shadow and light. And as we come down here, we normally would, so we say like this is the chin, but of course in the skull, it's not going to be as fleshy, obviously, because there's no flesh. Like it'll look a little bit more like angular. Same with like where the jawline, we normally would put it, well, let's figure out where the mouth is. So it's about midway or a little bit higher. It might look a little different because of the skull structure. It might look more like in the middle because there's no like lips and stuff covering it. Again, we normally would say like that the mouth would be kind of lined up with the eye, but there's no eyes. So it's a little different. Like for example, like the teeth go back, like, and you'll see that like more. So there's a cylindrical form. So that's why it's good to practice skulls, because then you can see why the surface anatomy is doing what it's doing. So for now, we'll just put the teeth kind of like this, kind of hint at it. So what I'm going to do is, with like these studies or these sketches, they're not really studies, they're sketches. The study is like we can just kind of do that like on our own. But what I'm doing is creating kind of a base model, and then when you go to do the study, you'll see that like this serves as like a foundation for that. But mainly this is focused towards drawing like from imagination and memory. And so you're not going to need to know like every detail, and you're not really trying to make like the best looking skull, but you're trying to make it look sound, structurally sound. So this is the cylindrical form here of the mouth, and then the chin, and it'll be more, so this helps to understand like the structure. It'll be more like angular looking. And then the jaw kind of has like this structure. Again, it will be a little bit more extreme because there's no flesh over it. And actually, it'll come in. I forgot about that. That's 5 minutes. Start another one. Yeah, so that actually would be like muscle and stuff on the outside there. So yeah, this is the basic structure of the jaw. This is the lower jaw, and this is the upper jaw. But yeah, sometimes you might have to draw the skull. I'm doing a dark fantasy like story, so I might need to draw a skull. So yeah, it's just to get started. Mainly the proportions and stuff. Let's just draw some more. Okay. So with all of that in mind, let's kind of break it down into like simpler shapes. So the cranium, we'll make it go this way. So this is helpful because a lot of times, like from yesterday's video, for example, and just usually like when I'm sketching, what I'll do is like if I have the collarbone area, I'll draw like the neck coming out at an angle, and I'll draw like a circle, kind of like that. And so that's the cranium basically. So let's translate that here. So the spine is like attached right here. So that's what that's, it's a shortcut for that. And then next, is it would be good to understand like this part. So usually you'll have to add a little bit to the back here because the spine isn't attached like onto the back, it's actually attached like at the bottom of the skull. Kind of like that. And then the skull has a side plane. That determines the, so from this like thumbnail, usually what you would do is you would add like the face here. that's the side plane. And again, the skull helps with, like, when you draw the face. If it's a skull, then it'll be flat for the most part. And since there's no ears or anything, we'll just draw this jaw. So it can help you to understand the planes of the face. Kind of like that. And so the landmarks from this view would be this part. So we said this is where the brow would be situated. You can determine, that's 5 minutes. We'll start another one. Maybe this would be 30 minutes. It seems like you kind of have to be. So if it is a skull, then you're gonna have some, like, brow. You're gonna see the form. You may not see it, like, in women, or like if the face is, like, depending on, like, the flesh that's on the surface anatomy. But if it is a skull, then you will see, like, the structure. It may not be as obvious. Same with, like, this structure right here, the forehead. And then, so this part, even when you're drawing, it's like where the nose is here, even when you're drawing like a regular face, it's gonna, this part affects things a lot. It's like the base of the nose here. Again, we're gonna keep the same proportions for the most part. So, like, I'm gonna divide it. Then it's good to understand this part of the cheekbone area. Like that. Again, I'm not necessarily trying to be exact with this. I'm relating it to, like, drawing the head. So these are things that would help, just drawing, like, the head. The cylinder of the mouth. So this can help with understanding, like so, like, on the, so these are like the landmarks, like that. And then you have muscle and skin. And then right here can help to understand, because of the, again, because of, like, the skin and everything and the muscles. But this is where understanding, like, the underlying skeleton helps. See, same with this, the chin is going to come out, but it depends on how the skin looks on top here. But you can see what's going on. this part is usually going to affect things. And then this part, the brow is different on men and women. And then of course, like the nose will have different shapes, although the nasal cavity does affect that too. I'll probably do another 5 minutes, and I might need to do another video on this. So yeah, the cylinder right here, and then the lower jaw. I mean, there's like technical names, like the zygomatic area, and then like the mandibula. But that's really for you to study the details and just keep whatever helps you to draw better. But I mean, it's an interesting subject anyway. It's an interesting thing to draw. So that's 5 minutes. And in the next 5 minutes, let's just kind of draw some skulls and then see what happens. Like I usually will do the cranium and then find like the brow, find the side of the cranium. If you want, so I like drawing skulls because you can have like this flat plane right here to help you understand like the plane of the face. And I find that it's easier to think about the bone structure rather than like the holes or whatever, like this stuff, the shadow area. Although you can do it that way too. Like that. And then if you want to kind of see like, the movement of the jaw, you can. I find it helpful to understand the brow and also like the forehead, because that does show up a lot in like shading and stuff, like highlights. And then so if this is the top part of the mandibula, then this angle of the jaw helps the movement. The teeth. So just remember like the cranium thing area. The spine is actually coming from underneath. And that this part has a shadow. Well, it doesn't have a shadow, but it goes in. So this could help with like just drawing the head in perspective. Yeah, hopefully it'll help you do some studies like from the side. Let's go this way. So the side, this is pretty helpful with a profile, because on a skull the profile is going to be pretty straight, because there's no lips or no nose, and so if this comes out, well, actually that's the brow, so the nose will come out like this. Everything is more angular. That's the lower jaw. So that's 5 minutes. I'm gonna wrap up this video. I'm gonna keep doing more studies, so you can study along if you'd like. Pretty interesting, pretty helpful, and fitting for October, which is my birthday month, so I'm fond of it. Plus the weather changes. So yeah, thanks for joining me today, and thanks for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. And until next time, keep on sketching.